struggling at this point to really understand exactly what she sees in me. But during the course of this speech, maybe some of that will be revealed, or as the case may be, we may end up more confused than we already are. I'd also like to take the opportunity, although I know it's not a traditional custom, to comment on how good the group looks. Now, don't worry, I'm not about to make some crazy admission of wanting to love for him or anything, but Will is renowned for a number of things, most of which I will discuss shortly, but if we're all perfectly honest, looking smart, he's definitely not one. I think he's really surpassed himself today, and that purple hat gives you your eccentric twist that we would all expect. Now, today's been a great day for us all here today, and a great day for a number of people, but for some, it is a particularly sad occasion. Felicity Petrovich's single day is now officially over. This has had a marked impact on the island's male population. I've seen a number of despondent looking individuals. Some of them are nearly getting run over on the way up here now. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have quite the same impact on the island's female population. There are, however, one group of individuals who are most upset about today's event. Now, as we all know, Will has been propping up, and I say literally propping up, one local industry for a number of years, and therefore today makes a sad day for the future prospects of Woodburn and Prospect and other local pubs in the area. Gone are Will's boozy days to be replaced by evenings in front of the television, and maybe even perhaps pitter-patter and tight feet going forward. This could happen slightly quicker than anticipated, especially if nobody's purchased electric television from the waiting list. That's bad one now, sorry. I'm just going to say a few words about Will's school days now as well, because there's a couple of pieces here that everyone just have to share with everybody. Now, Will's mum has very kindly passed me a couple of school reports that they're quite old, really contain some quite amazing comments. So I just feel like I have to share them with you. Maths, he has shown excellent, rapid understanding, and great enthusiasm. Even presentation has improved. Progress next term should be astonishing. Obviously, as we know, it was, and he's obviously a great maths teacher today. The presentation bit, I'm assuming, referred to his work rather than his own personal appearance. Latin, interested, diligent, and bubbling with enthusiasm. He is a delight to teach. He looks set very well. Again, divinity, this was an interesting one. He has demonstrated a wonderful imagination, which has given our Bible stories a wonderful touch. His motivation and enthusiasm are really very high. He really is the most rewarding boy to work with. That last sentence did concern me a bit, but I checked it wasn't a Catholic school. That was bad as well, when I'm sorry. Now, I'm not going to bother reading the reports for the school choir and the Euphoria. I also would like to say that Will's very lucky that I didn't manage to lay my hands on the Euphoria, because I was in having an idea of asking him to play us all a few notes. Now, at this sort of midway point, I do feel slightly guilty about glossing over some of the more positive elements of his character. I don't really feel guilty enough not to tell you a couple of stories from my university days. With hindsight, I think most of us that have been to university, and certainly those that attended with myself and Will, are very glad that universities do not see the need to send reports back to parents. If this had been the case, I don't think Will's mum would have been quite so comfortable in passing me a copy. However, Will certainly would have achieved excellent marks for his commitment to his social life. Now, as ever with Will, if it's going to be done, it's done 100%. Around this sort of university time became the trait, should I say, that really has defined Will over the last few years started to first appear, and that is his ability to fall asleep just about anywhere. There was one particular evening that sticks in my mind. We were in a nightclub, which was a club called Music Box. I think it was in Leeds or somewhere, but it was a particularly loud and eventful evening. Will, despite the fact that there was all this going on, had managed to fall asleep with his head on the bass box at the back of the and this wasn't like a little bass box that you have in the back of a boy racer's car. This thing was easily 5.5 foot wide and easily touring. I'll never forget the sight of his head bouncing every 4 seconds or so when the bass kicked in. There's another little story as well, which was quite interesting. A few years after that, myself and Will had actually been to a dinner party, which was a very rare thing for us. And we were wandering back to the house. Went into the house, went up to bed, no problem at all. Unbeknown to us, after we'd gone to bed, there had been a tense standoff between a squadron of police officers, Matt and a case of mistaken identity, and they assumed that me and Will had been up to no good. Before they reached this conclusion, they decided they were going to take the house apart, searching for whatever it was they were looking for. In this process, we were all sent to our bedrooms where we were individually interviewed. So the interview went something like this: what was Will wearing? I was asked. So I replied, I don't know, blue jeans, grey fleece, etc., etc. And obviously the same question had been asked of Will. So he shouted down the corridor to me, "Jim, what were you wearing?" I'd also like to point out that some of the material found underneath his bed would definitely assist in his biology studies. But that's a whole different story. I don't know why you're laughing, Daz. You should have gone down for what you were. I think it's fair to say that whilst at university we concentrated primarily on having a good time, and academic work, well, that was just something that we had to do. My personal feeling on this is that that's kind of defined the people we are today, and my view is Will's such an excellent teacher because he's had such a broad experience of life, and I think that people really need to remember that he's got a lot of life experience and he adds a lot of quality to his children and teachers. Now, meeting Fliss, this sort of may come as some surprise to you, but Will has had a couple of girlfriends over the years. I know, it's remarkable, isn't it? I've long since held the thought that this sort of hair twiddle that seems to have come out had some sort of hypnotic effect on members of the opposite sex. I sincerely hope that haircut the other day doesn't end in tears. Yeah, but I'm not going to dwell too much on that side of things for risk of being escorted off the island. I do, however, when he first met Fliss, notice that this time he was really, really smitten. I mean, he's always been a soppy bugger, but this time, he was, it was awful. You can always tell as well with Will when, because he just went quiet for 3 or 4 months, didn't see from him, didn't hear from him apart from the odd phone call, and then obviously he decided to stay on the Isle of Man, and I think that goes some way to demonstrate his commitment to how quickly and how hard he'd fallen for her. I think the fact she seems to quite like people with facial hair had something to do with it as well. There was, however, one slight bit of confusion early on in the relationship when Will decided to announce to me that he'd fallen in love with one of his students. Now, initially, this caused me some serious concern, and there was much mumbling and general confusion until I worked out that it was a teaching student, not a student. But once we cleared that, it was all very well and good. Now, to be honest with you, I've struggled to write this speech. It's been quite a hard part. However, the next bit I didn't struggle with at all. I found it very, very easy. And this isn't a piece of speech to try and get me off the Wood family's blacklist for the foreseeable future. I have known Will for over 10 years, and I can honestly say I have rarely heard him mutter a bad word about anybody, and as we all know, he would be a mutter. He's one of those rare people who gets on with just about anybody, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're with. Will's always one of those people that ends up chatting to people from absolutely all walks of life, and that's a lovely talent to have. And he's such a generous, kind person, and his desire and his commitment to help and work with others is unrivaled, and certainly one of the nicest, most genuine and honest people I've ever met in my life. I asked at the beginning of this speech what it was that I and the Fliss saw in Will. Just in those last few sentences, I can't really begin to describe to you. There's so much to Will, but that was a stupid point to make. There's so much that we all see here in this room, and I would just like to say before I finish that I wish them, and we all wish them, the very best of happiness going forward. And I know it's not my place to raise a toast, but I'd like us all to raise our glasses and say to Mr. and Mrs. Wood.
Mr. and Mrs. Wood.
That's it. Let's have some food.